Namaskaram. What is the difference between Bharatanatyam and Kathak? This is one question which runs in the minds of most non-dancers, or especially the parents who would want to choose a specific dance form for their children. So now I'm going to explain the differences between the two Indian dance forms, Bharatanatyam and Kathak. Both are Indian classical dance forms which are said to have originated in the 2nd century or even before the 2nd century, because both has a reference in the 2nd century book Natya Shastra. Natya Shastra is like the Bible of dance. So the references are given both for Bharatanatyam and Kathak in Natya Shastra. Bharatanatyam is said to have originated from the south side, especially the Tamil Nadu state, and Kathak is said to have originated from the north side. So earlier days, Bharatanatyam used to be danced in the temples. It was danced for gods. And Kathak was danced in the court of kings, Hindu kings and Muslim kings, to entertain the kings and the people in the court. So that is the origin. And now it has evolved. We try to do lots of fusions, and we try to go around with lots of concepts for both Bharatanatyam and Kathak. The god associated with Bharatanatyam is Lord Shiva, and the one associated with Kathak is Lord Krishna. That is just for an ancient reference, but these days we don't really stick on to that, because we do lots of other concepts, or we dance for other gods, or with totally different themes in Bharatanatyam and in Kathak as well. But ancient days, there were lots of stories conveyed in Bharatanatyam on Lord Shiva, and the stories conveyed in Kathak were always about Lord Krishna. But now it has all changed, and both Bharatanatyam and Kathak is being danced all around the world for various themes, various concepts, even sometimes not related to gods or not related to worships, for concepts that are non-devotional. The main posture of Bharatanatyam is the Araimandi, or in English we say half sitting, or the actual name is Ayatham, which makes you go down to half your size like this. Just because you go down to half your size, it is called as half sitting, Araimandi. So you will have to bend your knees like this and keep your feet in V shape, and this is the common posture of Bharatanatyam. And all Bharatanatyam dance performances, 95% of all dance movements, steps in Bharatanatyam is done in Araimandi posture. Whereas in Kathak, you just have to stand in Sama. Sama is feet on the floor firmly, and the knees are not bent. So this is the common posture of Kathak, where you just have to stand erect. And to get this Araimandi posture in Bharatanatyam like this, one has to train for a long time, and that depends on the individual capability. Some students gets it right at the first instance, some are natural dancers, and some students takes more time than the others to get the Araimandi posture perfectly. But whereas in Kathak, you straight away just go and dance because you're already in the posture, so you don't have to worry about it. So to learn Bharatanatyam, you will have to prepare your body by doing some exercises, flexibility exercises, and you will have to prepare your body to sit in the Araimandi posture even to start dancing Bharatanatyam. But for Kathak, you straight away go and start dancing. So if you have to compare the difficulty level, yes, at this point of time, you can say, when you just talk about the posture, yes, you can say Kathak is in a way easier because of the posture, the straight posture. And in Bharatanatyam, since you have to go down to Araimandi, which requires some preparation, it might be considered as difficult. But trust me, it's not that difficult. It just comes with proper practice, and your body becomes very flexible when you get into proper Araimandi posture. One common myth about Bharatanatyam is that Bharatanatyam gives knee pains or knee injuries, but that's not true, because while sitting in Araimandi in Bharatanatyam, we don't really put the weight on the knees like this, and that will injure your knees. What we actually do is the weight goes at the back and the knee are just in the foot level. So it's like this. You're not putting your weight on the knee like this by putting your knee forward, but then your back is going to be straight and your body weight is at the back, and the body weight is not on the knees. So Bharatanatyam doesn't give knee pains or knee injuries if you do the posture in a right way with the guidance of a teacher or a guru. Learning Bharatanatyam and Kathak. In Bharatanatyam, we learn everything step by step, movement by movement. For example, the first step in Bharatanatyam is just tapping the foot. Tei, ya, tei. Tap and tap. So you just have to tap the foot in Bharatanatyam. So we learn step by step. But in Kathak, the first thing you will learn is ta tei tei tat, a tei tei tat, ta tei tei tat, a tei tei tat. And that's the first movement in Kathak. So when you compare the learning, Bharatanatyam is in a way easier, you can say, because you learn everything movement by movement and you can memorize. It is all very systemized. In Kathak, you start with small compositions. Tukda, Tihai, all these for non-dancers to understand. We can just say it is a short form of song, short compositions of music, of bowls. So you don't learn movements, you don't learn tap, tap, look, turn. You don't learn like this in Kathak, but in Bharatanatyam you do that way. In Kathak you straight away start with compositions, a small composition. We call it as a tihai or tukda. Tatkar. So tatkar is the footwork, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right. And to learn that, kids are going to take more time than Bharatanatyam. Because in my years of experience, what I have observed is Bharatanatyam is all about your muscle memory. You do a step several times and your muscles remember that and you get it right. But in Kathak, how many ever times you practice, you will have to put your focus and do the footwork properly, footwork or eye movements or the hand movements. Your focus, your complete focus must be there while dancing. If not, it is very easy to skip a beat or to miss a movement, to miss a step. It's very easy in Kathak. Because the first step itself, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, is going to be slightly difficult for the kids to know right, left, and again tap left, right, left, right. So younger kids, those who usually start at 3, 4, 5 years old, they're going to take long time to learn this. By the time they learn the tatkar is the footwork, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right. By the time the Kathak students learn this one footwork, Bharatanatyam students would have finished one whole chapter of Tattadavu, which involves 8 different types of footwork. So in that way, learning way, Bharatanatyam is easier than Kathak. usually said that Bharatanatyam dancers have beautiful big eyes. It doesn't happen naturally, not that all big-eyed or beautiful-eyed children gets to learn Bharatanatyam. It's not like that. But over a period of time dancing Bharatanatyam, your eyes tend to open wide, and it becomes very expressive. In my experience, I had a very small eyes when I was a child, and over a period of several years dancing Bharatanatyam, which requires you to open your eyes wider and to express, do all these movements, it has opened wider. I cannot say the eyes has become big because that's practically not possible, but the eyes opens wider and better. It learns to express the emotions. So, but that is why Bharatanatyam dancers are said to have big eyes. It happens over a period of time. In Kathak, we usually dance with half shut eyes or in the mid range of eyes. Our eye movement is just at this level in Kathak, like this. So it is said to have a dreamy eyes for Kathak. So you're just as you are in a dreamy land with dreamy eyes. Bharatanatyam dancers do not wear ankle belts in the class, because when you bend your knees and when you hit the floor, your legs automatically produces the sound, because your knees are bent and the gravity works and you hit harder. So this sound is loud for Bharatanatyam dancers to listen and do the movements according to that, to sync with the beat. But for Kathak, since you're going to stand and dance, however hard you hit, you cannot produce that heavy footwork, or you cannot produce that loud sound with the foot. So that is why Kathak dancers wear gungroos around the ankles, so they dance with the gungroos sound matching the beat. So Bharatanatyam dancers dance with the sound of the feet to match the beat, and Kathak dancers dance to the sound of the gungroos matching the beat. When I say beat, it is the thalam. The instruments associated with Bharatanatyam or mirdangam, veena, nadashwaram, and for Kathak it is usually tabla, sarangi, bansuri and sarod. The system. So in Bharatanatyam, what I know is it is very systemized. You learn step by step, movement by movement, and then you learn chapter by chapter. For example, when you start with, you work on tattadavu, you dance tattadavu, which makes you gain stamina on your legs, to strengthen your legs, to sit in Araimandi for a longer time. And then you work on Natadavu to strengthen your arms, to open your hands, to keep your hands like this in Natyaramba position, and to stand like this without the elbows dropping down, to stand like this for a longer time. And then you work on your thighs, you work on the hip movements. So you work on individual parts of your body and its flexibility in Bharatanatyam to become a Bharatanatyam dancer. But whereas in Kathak, we only have the footwork, lots of footwork, and not much of specific body movements, individual body parts movements, but then you have whole body movement, that is, you move on the whole like this. But in Bharatanatyam, you move part by part. Your body moves, your leg moves, your hip moves, your eyes move, all this. But in Kathak, you move the whole body. So in Bharatanatyam, you work on every part of your body, and in Kathak, you work on your body as a whole. When you talk about the system, like I mentioned earlier, in Bharatanatyam you learn step by step, in Kathak you don't. You learn as short compositions. You learn several short compositions and finally learn long compositions. In Bharatanatyam you learn lots of steps and finally the compositions. So to talk about the learning system or teaching system in Bharatanatyam, it is very systemized as far as I know. In Bharatanatyam, the lessons, the syllabus is very systemized. Say for example, a child has learned first 2 years of Bharatanatyam somewhere else and then she has come to me, she wouldn't find much of difference in Bharatanatyam, because the basics of Bharatanatyam is just the same all over the world. Because the basic is Tattadavu, strengthening your legs, Natadavu for your arms, Parvaladavu, movements, Gudithametadavu, jumping, all this. But in Kathak, the lessons are going to be different from teacher to teacher, from guru to guru, from institution to institution. I believe no two Kathak teachers teaches the same. Why? Because like I mentioned you earlier, Kathak is all about learning short compositions, and that compositions varies from teacher to teacher. A teacher decides or a guru decides what composition to teach a child, depending on how well she's performing or how well her body can take it, or depending on the age. So the teacher decides which step or which composition to teach a child specifically. Say for instance, a child has learned for 2 years somewhere else in Kathak and then she comes here, she wouldn't find it the same. Except for the Tatkar, Tatai Teta, Tatai Teta, others are not going to be the same because the compositions will be different. There are several compositions, thousands of compositions, out of which the gurus or the teachers choose which composition to teach the children. So now you can understand the system. It's not very systemized, but I hope we can systemize it in future. I'm working on that, so let's talk about in future. But for now, Bharatanatyam basics are common all over the world and Kathak basics are not common, and it varies from place to place. Both Bharatanatyam and Kathak takes a minimum of 5 to 10 years to become a proper dancer with proper body movements, body postures, the eye movements, the standing postures. To get all the nuances of Bharatanatyam or Kathak, it is going to take 5 to 10 years depending on the individual capability and the learning pace of each individual student. Bharatanatyam is more about the muscle memory. You dance the same step over a period of time, the same steps you repeat several times and you get it. In Kathak, even if you learn for 5 years, 10 years, if your focus is not there, you're going to miss a beat, you're going to skip a step. But in Bharatanatyam, when you dance for several years, even when your mind is thinking something else, you can still do the correct footwork or correct movement, because Bharatanatyam is all about muscle memory and Kathak is all about your mind, your focus. In Bharatanatyam, we use lots of mudras, hand gestures. You might have seen this, like lot of hand gestures in Bharatanatyam. But in Kathak, we also use the similar hand gestures, but less of it. We wouldn't be using as many hand gestures as we use in Bharatanatyam, a little less of it. Because Kathak gives you the freedom to explore and to express whatever you want to convey. It gives you the freedom to express in your own way. But in Bharatanatyam, you are restricted to use certain postures, certain gestures for specific things. But in Kathak, you have all freedom to use whatever you want to. So in that way, yes, Kathak gives you the freedom to move around, and Bharatanatyam is more rigid. Learning age. You all know any art form, when it is learned at a younger age, it is much easier for the kids to practice over many years. Because when a child starts at 3 years or 5 years old, she takes like 10 years. So at the age of 15, she's going to be a proper dancer. Around 15 to 18, she's going to be a proper dancer. But when you're going to start only at 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or even 70, you must have the patience to give that 10 years of time to learn dance. You must be patient. Because children learn slightly slower because they grasp it slightly slower than the adults. Say for instance, if I'm going to ask a child to tap on the right and look at the left, a child might take a lot of practice time to do that movement. But for an adult, it is easy. Tap and look. Tap and look at the same time, because an adult can understand better. But child will practice the same movement over a period of many years to get it right, and during that period, she perfects it. She does it perfectly. But an adult gets it right at the first time, tap and look, and there's no perfection, because an adult would not be willing to practice the same movement for several years because they get bored easily. So an adult remains doing like this, the known movement. But a child, after several practice, does like this. So that's the difference between learning at a younger age and learning when you're an adult. But with patience, with hard work and dedication, any adult at any age, you can definitely become a dancer. I have 60, 70-year-old students who are awesome dancers. I must really appreciate their passion and dedication towards the art form. So it doesn't matter, the age doesn't matter. You just have to get the passion of learning dance, and you will need to spend some time to practice the movements, whatever you learn in the class. So finally, to conclude, Bharatanatyam or Kathak or any dance form takes at least 5 to 10 years to master it or to become a proper dancer. But Bharatanatyam makes you very flexible and strong over a period of time. Kathak makes you flexible too, but I would say not as flexible as Bharatanatyam, mainly because of the movements we learn in Bharatanatyam are restricted to each body part. But in Kathak, you dance as a whole body, you move as a whole. So the flexibility wise, it is slightly lesser in Kathak, I would say. The beauty is to embrace different art forms, to embrace the differences and similarities. So which art form suits you depends on your own mindset. Nowadays, it's no more true that South Indians dance Bharatanatyam and North Indians dance Kathak, because all over the world, people dance both these art forms irrespective of the language or religion or culture. Even non-Indians learns Bharatanatyam and Kathak and they dance beautifully. So if you want to work out on your body, mainly like a fitness level, or to work out on your flexibility, you will have to go for Bharatanatyam. And if you want to work out more on the body as a whole, for a relaxing dance, or to have the freedom to explore and move around, then it is Kathak. So Bharatanatyam or Kathak, the choice is yours. So it is either Bharatanatyam or Kathak, or you can also learn both. Okay, but while mentioning learning both, I dance both Bharatanatyam and Kathak. But for students, those who want to learn both forms of dance, I would advise you not to do it simultaneously. Because when you learn Kathak, when you are a Kathak dancer already, And when you want to learn Bharatanatyam, yes, you can switch over. You can try Bharatanatyam because it doesn't spoil your body movements. It does not deviate your body movements. Because in Kathak, you're going to stand and dance. In Bharatanatyam, you're going to sit in Aramandi and dance. But when you're a Bharatanatyam dancer, and especially if you're a beginner, if you're just starting out Bharatanatyam, if you're learning to sit in Araimandi, and at that time if you're going to learn Kathak, it is going to affect your Araimandi posture. Because in Bharatanatyam classes, your teachers will give you lots of training to hold on to that Araimandi posture, to sit half of your size. But in Kathak, when you learn to stand and dance, that might affect your Bharatanatyam if you are a beginner. But then if you have learnt Bharatanatyam for say like 4 to 5 years already, then if you learn Kathak, it may not affect your Araimandi, because you already know when it comes to Bharatanatyam, you will have to sit in Araimandi. When you go to Kathak class, you will have to stand straight. You will know to appreciate and understand the difference. But if you are a beginner, try to stick on to one dance form, and after 5 years of learning, or when you think you are very good at that dance form, then you can try exploring a different dance form and you can dance both. I hope I have clarified most of your doubts. Bharatanatyam and Kathak, both are beautiful dance forms. If you haven't tried one of it, you must try. Namaskaram.